let them out of the waiting room, or John can let them out of the waiting room.
Yeah, I'll take care of that for you.
Perfect. So tonight is just the opportunity to spread your platform, connect to students, and talk about what you want to do if elected for the position you're running in, and just kind of raise awareness for your campaign and everything that you're hoping to achieve if elected. So we're gonna do the VP of External Affairs first because it's midnight where Luca is. So we're conscious of that. So Luca, if you want to go first, you can just share your platform really quickly, and then we'll take any questions, and then Joel can share his platform and that kind of thing.
All right, thanks a lot. So yeah, it is midnight where I am, so I'll try to make this quick. My name is Luca. I'm running for VP External, and yeah, I'm a second year in business. And so basically, what I want to do, my main goal is to make the student body's voice be heard and cooperate as much as I can with, you know, the city of Sherbrooke, the Quebec government, and also the Canadian federal government on any external affairs. You know, it could be how we're managing COVID-19, you know, and anything really like the Maple League of Universities. I'm not quite in touch with that right now, but I'm hoping to speak to Cedric and, you know, kind of follow up where he leaves off. And yeah, in order to do so, I'm trying to keep this Instagram account I created and keep the student body informed on, you know, whatever we're working on at the time. Regularly do polls. Usually I would think of kind of speaking to everyone on campus, but we can't really do that because obviously it's closed with coronavirus. So I'm thinking of conducting polls on social media. I can still ask around. It's just not in person, you know. So that's what I'm counting to do, and we'll see how that goes, and hopefully get a lot of collaborative events with a lot of other universities, and just keep the ball rolling.
All right, I guess I'll give it a go, if that's all right, Cassandra.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. So yeah, you can go ahead, give your platform, and then we'll do questions for both of you.
Perfect, thank you. I first want to thank John and you, Cassandra, for organizing this event. I also want to thank my opponent, Luca, for coming today. It's great that we get to engage in this kind of interaction and talk about our ideas moving forward. So my platform is based off four main things. These are things that I'm going to make my priority when I'm in office. The first thing is going to be getting a vaccine clinic on campus. By mid to late fall, I'm going to have to discuss with the provincial government. Once the doses start getting made in Montreal, we're going to start being able to move them outside of Montreal and hopefully get them into the eastern townships. This will be really good for the school. It's going to bring a good look on the school. We're also going to be able to vaccinate our community. The big thing that I'm worried about as Bishop students is we know how we are, we're social. I want to make sure that we protect our community first, and then we can look after ourselves. And that's purely just based off of the numbers of fatalities with COVID. So I want to make sure that we look after our older population, considering that we have a lot of them within Lennoxville. Secondly, I want to leverage our already fantastic infrastructure within Bishops. So specifically, there's two programs that I want to be doing a lot of work with once I'm at Bishops. The first one's going to be the Student Refugee Program. Now, what I want to do with the Student Refugee Program is I want to increase the infrastructure for the program. So right now, it's all volunteer-based work to support these refugees. They support about one refugee a year. What I want to do is get a website for these refugees where they can get a haircut, where they can get their taxes done, and where the SRP can get more attention for the program, because this is a good friend of mine, Hassan, who was in this program. It has done wonders for him, and it's an amazing program. Secondly, the next committee, I want to work with the Anti-Discrimination Committee. So if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I was looking at making an equity and equality task force, and then I had no idea, but we already have an anti-discrimination committee on campus. Just speaks to the amazing infrastructure that the community already has. So what I want to do with this anti-discrimination committee is I want to be working in tandem with them, collaborating about the research they've been getting on campus, the student feedback. And what I want to do, what I've noticed during this time is this is a real time of opportunity for us as a community to really put Bishops on the map and put the students' interest at first. So what I want to do is get the committee to talk to me, and I want to expand the committee outside of the school. I want to talk to the Maple League of Universities. I want to talk to William Blaney at the, he's the coordinator for the socio-political affairs of the Union étudiante de Québec. So I want to start creating this dialogue that goes beyond our Lennoxville community. I'll get to the Lennoxville community in a second, but I really want to expand our presence among these universities within Quebec. We're a small school, but we have an amazing potential. You know, some of the things that make us special as a community is our unity and our collaboration. And I really want to build on top of the already amazing infrastructure that we have. As far as within Lennoxville, what I want to do, you know, I'm Canadian, but I grew up in small town Arkansas, Rogers, Arkansas. You know, when I first moved there was about 50,000 people. And so this means a lot to me to see during COVID, during this pandemic, to see how the businesses are affected. What I want to do is support these businesses, support L2D, support Provagos, support the Lion. I want to support these businesses so that we can hopefully create a better discussion with the community. You know, when I in Arkansas, if a business went out of business, it was often that person was my neighbor, or you know, I went to school with their kids. So I hold that very dear and true to me, to engage with the community and keep that community involvement. You know, we're going to increase community involvement if I'm elected. I'm going to do everything I can. We need to do more for food drives. We simply aren't doing enough. I know the athletic teams do before Christmas, but we need to do more. As I said, I see this as a point of opportunity for us as a collective to collaborate and really put Bishops on the map. And I feel we can best do that by not only listening to our students, but reaching outside of our comfort zone, reaching for this ambition. You know, these points that I said about getting a vaccine clinic on campus, it's an ambitious. I'm not going to lie to you. It's quite bold, but that's exactly what we need right now. We don't need to be hiding behind the curtain right now. This is a time for Bishops to really come out as a collective and show who we are. The people at Bishops know how powerful we are together as unified. And I believe moving forward, we really have an opportunity to do something well with what we have. And I just want to thank everybody else, if anybody else just tuned in, for coming today. Thanks.
Perfect. So that was great speeches by both of you. I'm going to ask a general question, and then anybody who's watching, if you have any questions for Joel or Luca, you're more than welcome to unmute and ask their questions. So to the both of you, Luca, if you want to go first, you can go first. What do you see besides COVID? What do you see as being your biggest challenge if you get elected for the role?
So the biggest challenge apart from COVID, well, for me, it would be simply continuing to maintain. It's hard for me to try to imagine something like, for me, it's all linked to COVID. For example, I was thinking of just trying to maintain, different events or competitions or anything of that sort with, other universities. But obviously, the challenge about that, it's all about COVID, about, everybody getting together, anything like that. I don't know if we can do case competitions on Zoom, I don't know if we can. So obviously, it's a tough question to think of my biggest challenge that's not COVID as external affairs. But obviously, my approach to all these issues would just be instead of trying to put in all these measures without actually seeing what's going on, I'd rather have a long talk with Cedric Moore, the guy who's actually who's the VP external right now. See where things are at with him, and kind of try to just do my best and make everything smoother, better. Try to innovate. I can't really think of anything that's not revolving around COVID-19 right now. Maybe we'll see next year. Obviously, this can look very differently if we can have everybody vaccinated or the whole community safe. We can move on to the next things, which for me would be obviously to as fast as possible get back to these inter-university events, and that would be it for me. But in order to do that, first we'll have to see how we can manage this whole coronavirus thing, because as VP external, that would really be my main focus as of now, at least. So yeah, thanks.
Perfect. And Joel?
Hi, that's a great question, Cassandra. For me, I don't see this as a time for maintaining. I see this as a time for attacking, for being bold. Obviously, we have the pandemic going on right now, but that does not infringe us from being able to meet with the community, expand on our community interest. As I said, the way I'll do that is I would like to do promotional events for a lot of the businesses within Lennoxville, because these businesses are vital to our school. I mean, L2D closes, where are you going to get your haircut, right? Other than a buddy or. So I don't see this really as a time for maintaining. I see this as a time for us to be bold and to reach further. Because this is such a sensitive situation that we are in right now with the pandemic, every step that we take and every action that we make that is successful as a collective will look twofold on us, will look twofold on the school, in terms of how we are perceived outside of the school, whether it's in terms of the student union, the Maple League of Universities, Acadia, St. FX. So basically the biggest challenge, I will say, is going to be getting back to normal. And that's exactly why one of my two main campaign initiatives is going to be doing everything in my power tirelessly to make sure that we can get this vaccine on campus by mid to late fall of next year. And this is, as I said, this is mostly firstly for the people of at risk within our community. We have many at-risk people in our community, and I don't feel we can look after ourselves until we look after our community first. And the more that we have that mindset of how can we help our community and how can we help the Bishop's image and the student brand at the school while also serving the student interest, we will be successful. I've firsthand seen the consequences of a divisive community. I've also firsthand seen the progress of unity. And I choose unity every single time, whether it's getting a vaccine on campus or starting a platform so that people can see what I'm doing day to day, if elected. But by implementing these initiatives, I believe that as a collective, we can be an example to other universities and other parts of even Canada. For such a small school, we can be an example of what can be accomplished when we really work together. That's something really special to us. I went to a boarding school out in BC, and we were a very small knit community, and the things that we could get accomplished as 400 students baffled me. I mean, the community cleanup, food, non-perishable foods for people. We could really accomplish some really amazing things, and yeah, I believe if we can get on the same page, inclusively. I really believe we're going to be successful as a whole. Thank you.
Perfect. So if anybody has a question they'd like to ask, you can use the raise your hand function, and then we'll call on you that way so it's more organized. If not, I have other questions draft that I can use to inspire people to ask questions.
Looks like your first question is going to come from Maya Luger.
Perfect.
Yeah, hi. So this is a question for both of you. One of the roles of VP External is obviously to kind of liaise with the Quebec Student Union, the Quebec government, So I guess for both of you, do you both speak French?
I guess I'll answer that first if you don't mind. So yeah, hi Maya. Yes, I can speak French. My mom's French. I don't know. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Thanks, Maya. That's a great question. While the majority of this role requires community work with the Lennoxville community, which is mainly English, you're absolutely right. French is a key thing to be in this role, and in order to communicate with the higher levels of government and the student union, it's going to be important that whoever's in this role can sufficiently speak French. So to answer that in short, absolutely I can. I'm always trying to make my French better. Right now I'm in 2 French classes at Bishop's. So I'm doing everything, because I'm running for this role, I want to do everything I can in my power to be as articulate as I can and be as approachable as I can for the higher levels of government and the Quebec Student Union.
Great, thanks guys.
Okay, I don't see any more questions here. Don't be shy. This is your best chance to ask these fine people what they want to do in the next year.
Wait.
You can also type the questions if you have issues with your audio, so that they still get asked.
John, do you have any questions?
None that I've prepared ahead of time. So I think.
Oh, we've okay.
We've got one from.
George Philippe.
I see Enzo with his hand raised. I see George asking in the chat. So we'll do George first.
Okay.
George Philippe, go ahead.
Can I open my camera or do I have to keep it closed?
It's totally up to you, whatever you prefer.
All right. Hi, both. As VP External, there's a lot of representing what the student union wants at the provincial level at the QSU, but also with the borough and everything. So how do you plan to make sure you're aware of everything that's going on in the academic department, the student life department, the communications department, and all across the SRC and the university, and what everyone's working on, so that you can represent their opinion and their stances, the SRC stances best, so that what we do at the university is also represented at the QSU.
Luca, if you want, I can take this one first to get.
Sure, yeah, you can go ahead.
Cheers, mate. Hey, George, wonderful question. That's going to be a key, if I'm elected, that's going to be a key one of my concerns. I'm not going to go out to the student union, the Maple League of Universities, or the provincial government and say things that the students are not advocating for. My first and foremost is here to advocate for you, the students. I'm not here for me. I'm doing this because I love politics. I love being involved and I love staying busy. And this is the way to do it. So for me, the way that I'm going to best keep in mind the student concerns is going to simply be, I'm going to have to be doing a lot of work with the head of student life. The student life does a lot of research and they do a lot of work with what student needs are. But beyond that, for myself, I'm going to have to be doing polls, surveys, meeting in person. I'm on the rugby team here at Bishop's University, so I understand what it means to represent a collective. I've done it on Coulter Field, for homecoming and stuff. So I want to make sure that what I am representing is your interest. And I promise you, I will not go in front of the Maple League. I will not go in front of the student union. And I sure as hell won't go in front of the provincial government and say things that you do not want to happen. I am here for you first and foremost. And in order for me to do that, I need to keep a high transparency and communication with the head of student life and as well as with our students first and foremost. Thanks.
So yeah, I'll have to agree with Joel on this one. As a VP external, you're not gonna run around and say stuff without it being representative of what the whole student body is about. Obviously, you want a big part of your job is to know really well what every student wants, what every student their opinion on what's going on, and we have very diverse opinions, and it's very important for us as VP externals to be aware of all these different opinions and not just ask the first person, our friend, or anything like that. So it's really important to do large poll numbers regularly. If I'm the VP external, I'll try to keep in touch with the clubs that have the most students involved. Keep tight relations with every other VP student life, VP academic, everything like that. I have an open door policy, so in if we didn't have the pandemic and everything was normal and we'd all be on campus, I would encourage everybody that needed to voice their opinion to come in at any time, and because my job is to let that be known. I'm thinking of it as it's like diplomatic relations from states with another state. It's exactly the same thing. I need to know what you think, and I need to translate that for every external body, whether it's universities or governments. So that's exactly what I want to do in order to know in the best way possible. It's regular polls. I want people to stay informed on what's going on, so that also they are involved with what's going on. I have other than the open door policy, the anonymous suggestion box. So just different measures like that, in addition to obviously having tight relations with many different people and many different associations or clubs. I think that's what it's all about, and that's just the most important part. It seems simple, but there's a lot of thinking that goes into it. There's a lot of work, and that's obviously my main concern. That would be it. Thanks for your question.
Okay, our next question comes from a Mr., if I'm reading this correctly, Enzo Evangelisti.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So first, obviously, I want to thank you both, Joel and Luca, for putting your names forward, because it's not easy to do that. So the same for all the other candidates. And I figured, in order to be fair, I'll ask every group of candidates a question, and hopefully that'll be reciprocated too for me. We'll see. But my question is, in the VP external role, do you think there are any external partners that the SRC doesn't necessarily have a relationship with, or doesn't have a strong relationship with, that you think we should either build or strengthen?
I don't know if you want to go ahead with this one too first, or if
Yeah, sure thing, if that works. So for this role, upon my research before this, I looked a lot into the committees at the school, a lot of the different programs at the school. And what many students don't know is the amazing infrastructure of inclusivity with programs that support inclusivity within our school. You look at the student refugee program. Many people don't know this. $7 to $8 of your tuition goes towards the student refugee program. These are initiatives that are sponsored by the students, and many of these students aren't aware of them. So for right now, with COVID, I think it's important that we also have just as much of an inward look as we do have an outward look on our issues. So that's going to require, as I said, for my refugee program, working with the refugee program, they need a part-time to full-time employee. And I realize with the circumstances right now, there might be, funds issues. And that's why I came up with the idea for myself. If I need to take a pay cut for this position, so be it. These are initiatives within our school that are strong and really do represent our school, like the Anti-Discrimination Committee. These are really initiatives that we as bishops, these are who we are. as people. We are an opening, diverse society. So I really believe that we need to strengthen our bonds with a lot of the student programs at school, because the programs are many students don't know it, they're supporting so many students, and students coming from such different backgrounds, doing such different things. And in order for us to really expand the VP of external role, we need to strengthen our connections with many of the programs that we already have. And I just don't think we are quite there yet. I really don't. So I believe, if elected, I will make sure that there is more infrastructure and there is more support for our programs in our school. Because quite honestly, this isn't a knock on the school by any means, but I believe we can do more. And I know we can do more. And if that comes at the case of sacrifice, so be it. That's what needs to be done, because that's who we are as Bishop students. Right now, we sacrifice what we want right now because we're in this as a collective. We're in this pandemic as a collective. None of us are going to house parties at night because we know that this is going to spread the pandemic even more. None of us are going to different regions of Quebec because we're a collective. We're on the same page. So we need to make sure that we get all the other students on the same page with many of the different programs that we have, because right now, many of the students don't know. I bet if you were to take a poll right now, how many students know that part of their tuition goes towards the student refugee program? I'm sure about 90% of them would say they'd had no idea. So to finalize that, I just want to say we need to strengthen what we have, because we've got some really special things at Bishop's that's with the SRC. And I think we can do a lot more with them. And I think we can really set the example for other universities by sharing our experiences with the Anti-Discrimination Committee. I'd like to present in front of the Maple League of Universities what our experiences was on improving an inclusive environment. These are things that we can put Bishops on the map for, and we can give a good name to Bishops and its student body, because the student body is full of people that are open-minded, that are willing to try new things, that want new things. And if I'm elected, I'll make sure that those new things are saw through.
So I'm actually glad you asked this question, Enzo, because I found that, although we're very involved with the Maple League of Universities, or the Quebec Student Union, I feel like we don't. We could try to be more involved in Ontario. I'm trying. Sorry, let me. So I see a lot of smaller Anglophone schools that are always in the discussion, and I noticed that a lot of times Bishops is overlooked, and I always ask my question why, because obviously I'm a student here. I think it's great here. I think we have everything they have, if not better. So we're an Anglophone school in Quebec. We're the only Anglophone school in Quebec apart from McGill. And obviously, I guess our recruitment program revolves a lot around that. But I think maybe we're already involved with the Maple League of Universities and in Quebec in general. And I think if we can reach out to the other Anglophone provinces in Canada, Ontario, just put Bishops in the discussion. I rarely see Bishops University in these discussions. Whether it's on articles online or even on social media. Even sometimes, my friends ask me where I'm studying, and if I say Brock University, which is also a smaller school, they might know where it is, but Bishops not. And I think, by making that connection with, I don't know if there is one or what it's named, but if there's like a League of Universities in Ontario or in BC, I try to make that possible because I think it would be very beneficial. Just to bring Bishops in that discussion, and there's only good things that can come out of that.
Perfect. Thank you both.
Perfect. So the next question.
Our next question comes from Maya Luger.
My last one, I promise. So this one's specifically for Joel, because Luca, I think you kind of answered this already, but if you wanted to jump in, please feel free. But Joel, so you talked a lot about like inclusivity, hearing students' voices, making sure everyone's voice is heard. I know you mentioned you were on the rugby team and you kind of have experience representing that collective or being a part of that collective. And so I guess my question mainly is, how do you plan on making yourself if elected, of course, how do you plan on making yourself approachable to students from a variety of backgrounds, all different programs, all different years, all different experiences? How do you plan on doing that other than an open door policy?
Absolutely. Well, I that's a fantastic question. One of the best things about Bishops is that we are a small community. So if I'm elected as VP External Affairs, I'll be representing about 2,200 students. And that's a lot easier for me to get in contact with and collaborate with than say if I was at McGill and I had 50,000 students. So my main way that I'm going to attack that and being approachable with the different students is I'm going to make sure that I have certain parts of my focus are in all different parts of the school. So as I said, the anti-discrimination committee. I'm going to start doing work with the local stores, so that maybe I didn't want to say this because it seemed a bit too big of a promise, but I'm not promising it. I'd like to work with the local stores to maybe see if we can get a discount for the students based on, if I advertise for them for the students on campus. So I want to make sure I do that. I need to make sure that I'm involved with more than just the rugby team. Rugby is a hobby of mine, but I need to make sure that I'm involved in the everyday student process. So that means I make sure I'm on campus and I'm available at least 10 hours a week. I need to make sure that I'm in my office for 10 hours a week so that any student can come in. I need to make sure that I keep my Instagram running so that I can have students text me or call me at any point in time. They can meet with me at any point in time. I live 10 minutes from the school. Anybody's welcome at my house at any point in time if they want to discuss policy. One of the other big parts of my campaign that I really want to address, which I really think is going to be special for our school, is I know a lot of people know about like the BU memes page and stuff on Instagram. What I want to do is make a BU policy page. Now on this page, I want students, I'll be the host of it. So obviously if they need to get to me directly, they can, either phone number, Instagram, Facebook. But I want on this page for there to be an open discussion about policy within the school as well as policy outside of the school, maybe with the student union, with the Maple League of Universities, any policy that concerns them. And I want to make sure that I hear that because as Lucas said earlier, I'm not looking for the opinions I want. I'm looking for the opinions I don't want. I'm looking for the people that are going to challenge the way I think. I want people to tell me what they are thinking unapologetically, because that is exactly what I'm going to do when I'm in front of the student union, or I'm in front of the provincial government, or I'm in front of the Lennoxville Town Hall. I want an unapologetic honesty. And so, as I said, I'm looking for those questions or those ideas that aren't mine, that I don't think, because I think for us to really move forward in a progressive way, we need to make sure that we're taking ideas from the exact opposite side of the spectrum, the exact opposite way you think. And obviously I'll weigh that to see if it represents the student body. And then I'll have to make a judgment call at that point. But I need to make sure that I'm available for the students. And as I said, it's more than an open door policy. It's making sure I post my hours when I'm in my office every day a week. Anytime those hours change, I post it on my social media platforms. So it's going to be about transparency. That is going to be key, whether it's in the language, in the way we speak, or in how we meet. There has to be transparency. And everything that I do and every way I represent the students, there must be. Because the last thing, as I said, I want is to be preaching something that the students don't want. That is the last thing I want. I am here first and foremost because of the students. I love this community. I love the unity within our school. I've been involved in school in sport my entire life. I live for unity. I live for moving for a collective goal. And I think if I can create that transparency and those open hours and those open doors, we're really going to be able to do that. And furthermore with that, the more that, as well as the school, I can represent the school, whether it's rugby, the student refugee program, the anti-discrimination committee. The more I can do that, the more I'll be representing the student body. So I want to make sure that I stick to those points. Thanks.
Can I ask
I would just like to add a little something, if you don't mind. So the question was how to be more approachable, right? And you know, as I said, the school's very diverse, and I'm sure one of its main goals is to try to be as, you know, to try to make that even more. And there's a difficulty that comes with having people coming from different cultures in the same area, and it's communication. You know, it's very easy to kind of get all that input from all these different people, but it's also really important to process that information the same way they would, because it's very easy to misunderstand people because you assume they would come from the same standpoint that you do. And you know, I've had I can speak, I'm fluent in French, I'm fluent in English. I had the privilege to live in you know, the Canada, the United States, Europe. I'm in West Africa right now, so I really have this you know, I can connect with people from different places all around the world. I grew up with Middle Eastern friends, Hispanic friends, and it's not about, you know, speaking the same language as them. It's about when they want to get their message across, it's for you to make sure that their message is understood how they want it to be. And it's very easy for somebody coming from the same culture, that their whole life, to misunderstand these messages. And you know, I've had the privilege to be able to communicate with all these different people, and you know, I think it gave me the ability to really get a better understanding of what people want to, you know, get their point across. And yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
Is it
John,
okay if I ask
sorry, yes, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to check. I know, John, you'd said that you'd like to move on, but is it okay if I ask a quick follow-up to Joel?
Well, since you asked so nicely.
Thank you. It's appreciated. Joel, I was just wondering, you'd said a lot about, you know, you want to hear those dissenting opinions, you want to hear from a whole variety of people, but I wondered, you know, students of color, disabled students, queer students, trans students, students coming from marginalized backgrounds, how are you planning on making your office, your space, and yourself a safe place for them to come to voice their opinions and make sure that they are comfortable sharing those dissenting opinions?
That's a great question. Thank you. Following up from what Lucas said, when we're saying about understanding people from different backgrounds, I went to a boarding school with over 55 different countries that were represented by 400 to 500 students. So I have a very good understanding of what understanding different cultures is and what that looks like. Now, as far as making me more, it seems more approachable. As I said, my role is going to be representing the students outside of Bishops, right? So that's going to have to work in parallel with the student life. So if I'm elected, I will make sure that my focus also on campus, because my on-campus focus will be just as important as my off-campus focus in this role, because you can't represent outside if you don't know what's inside. So I'm going to be doing a lot of work with the head of with the student VP of student life. I want to make sure the second that person is elected, and God willing, if I'm elected, that is the first person that I'll be discussing issues with on campus, so that we can collaborate our different ideas. With my work with the student refugee program, with my work with the anti-discrimination committee, I feel that I don't come from that background. I'll say that right now. I'm not a refugee. I'm a migrant. I know what it means to move to a different country. I know what it means to pick up a different culture. But what's going to be important is making sure that the VP of External Affairs is seen outside of the mainstream. You can't be seen with the main. You need to be able to be what's the word I'm looking for? Versatile. I need to be able to make sure that I'm versatile. So making sure that of those 10 hours a week, 2 hours a day is spent for any student that wants to come in my office and speak to me. Thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect. So I have one quick question. We'll wrap up the VP external portion and move to the other portions. So I'm going to ask every candidate this, but just to the both of you, just to wrap things up. In the case that we do remain online for the fall semester, based on how COVID's going and everything, what is your plan, or how does your goals change with the online aspect and the distance?
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
No, all you made, I've stole it from the last bit.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So for me, it's very simple. In a case where everything becomes perfect and there's no more coronavirus, which I'm pretty sure, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I mean, hopefully it's gonna happen. But let's say everything goes back to normal. So what we would do is travel and attend these meetings, attend these like conferences, and get your point across. Well, if we can't do that, it's all about, for me, it's all about an email campaign. Reach out through email. You know, it's simple, but it's the most efficient. It's been proven. You know, you reach out by email, you try to make connections, and then hopefully step by step you make calls, you build these relations, and from that, you try to make stuff happen. And obviously we're very limited by the fact that we're online, but we can think that way, or we could also just use online as a way for us to reach out even more. There's no limits to being online. There's no obstacles. You're just a click away from everything. So you can really, you're a quick Google search from knowing who to contact, from anything. So for me, it would very simply be try to reach these first connections through email, and then build relationships and make stuff happen from there, all online. Thanks.
For me, simply put, nothing changes. My ambitions stay, my goals stay, and my initiatives will stay. What will have to be different, obviously, will be that we'll be working online, but I feel that that's a real point of opportunity again for us. Students are getting used to being online. Students are getting, not always the best, getting used to being on their phones. So I want to expand our social media presence. I want to expand our web presence. And I want to make sure, obviously we can continue having our meetings, we can continue doing that, but I think we can go further. I really do. And I believe that, moving forward, nothing changes. My goals, my initiatives for the student refugee program stays. My goals for the vaccine clinic stays. My goals for increasing, as I said, social media, it all stays for me. So I don't see it as an obstacle if we go online. I don't. I see it as a point of opportunity, as a matter of fact. So I think moving forward, we got to be careful when we're asking those questions. What are we going to do when it's online? Well, we've been online for a year. We know how this works. We've done this before, and we've done it together. And I think the elections are going to be a good way to show the students that the students are involved. The students are taking action, and they are looking at what's happening in their community, and they care what's happening in their community. And so I want to make sure that if I'm elected, that they see that care, they see that transparency, and they see those initiatives seen through. Thank you.
Perfect. So we're gonna wrap that up. If anybody has any other questions, you can reach them both on their social media platforms. And that's in the Instagram post that introduced them, that posted the other day. So without further ado, we'll move to the president section, and we have Enzo running. So Enzo, if you just want to outline what your platform would be if you get reelected next year.
Definitely, thank you. So first, obviously, I want to thank everyone who joined the Zoom call. I'm shocked to see that there's so many people. So it really, I don't know, makes me feel nice and warm to see that the student bodies engaged in this. I also obviously want to thank all the candidates. It's great to see student engagement and people stepping up to these roles because they are big roles and they're crucial to the university and to the student body. So obviously, I've had the pleasure of serving as the SRC president over the last year, and I have my pillars and my goals, but I really want to start by expressing that as president, I didn't do it alone. I had a team of people. I worked with amazing people, representatives, senators, the executive team, general counselors, and other people who work within the organization and volunteers. So a lot of what I'm campaigning on and what I'm touching upon during my campaign, I don't ever want to take credit for any of that work. I really want to build on 4 main pillars, and those being progress, experience, collaboration, and improvement. And the reason I chose those 4 is because I feel that the year that we've had was not a usual year. It was a pretty difficult one, and the SRC had to take on challenges that I mean, pretty obviously no other SRC has had to take on before. So with that, I've gained a lot of experience, valuable experience, and I feel like I'd be able to bring that to the role again if reelected. Obviously, in addition to that, having been SRC president and working with a lot of people, collaboration is one of my core values and will remain one of my core values. And I think in this role, it is crucial. You cannot do anything alone. You have to collaborate with people. You have to build those relationships. And I think that's why it's so crucial that I remain a pillar and that I continue to maintain the relationships I've built with stakeholders at the university. Then there's the idea of improvement. Yes, I've been president for a year. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. It doesn't mean that I know exactly what I'm doing. It doesn't mean that the SRC is this, perfect organization that doesn't necessarily need to improve. There's still improvement to be made. When I ran last year, I ran on this idea of change in the hopes of rebuilding the SRC's reputation and working towards improving that connection with the student body. And I think this year, what I want to work towards is improvement and progress in that regard. I think the SRC has come a long way, thanks to the incredible help of so many people. And I hope to keep bringing it even further. And then last but not least, obviously, progress. We've done amazing things, incredible things. Free mental health kits. The Thanksgiving baskets. We increased funding for extracurricular groups. We restructured extracurricular groups, actually. We held an anti-racism seminar. We held an in-person O-Week. I can go on and on and on, but I don't necessarily think that because we've accomplished these things that we can stop there. There's always progress to be made and things to continue to work towards. So I think that's my little spiel as an opening statement. I want to thank everyone, and I really, really, really want to take the time to thank the people who I've had the enormous pleasure of working with over the last year, because it means a lot that I got a chance to have that opportunity, and I'm looking forward to whatever next year holds if reelected.
Perfect. Thank you for your words. So if anybody has a question, you can raise your hand. If there's any issue with the raise your hand signal or your audio, you can always take the questions. John, do we have anything from the Facebook Live? Are you live on Facebook?
Nope, Facebook defeated me tonight, so we weren't able to pull that one off.
Okay.
I don't see any questions yet. I'll remind, Sophia appears to have a question. Sophia, go ahead.
Well, Enzo said he's asking us questions, so I'm going to ask him one too. You mentioned that improvement is one of the things that you're really focused on, and I was wondering, what would you say a specific area of focus would be for you to improve upon?
That's a great question, but just to clarify, personally or as an organization or both?
Just what you think comes to mind when you say improvement. What would be the most important part for you?
So I think there's a lot of work to be done in EDI efforts with the SRC and the student body, and personally. It's important that I recognize, my privilege as a person, and that I don't necessarily fully understand the experiences that members from various groups, whether that's BIPOC, LGBTQ, neurodiverse, or those with physical challenges, are experiencing. And I think as an SRC, there is a lot of work to be done there, and there's a lot of listening and learning to do. So I think that would be an area that I personally want to continue to develop in. an area that I think the SRC should continue to develop in, to ensure that we're really creating an environment of inclusivity and an environment where people feel safe to speak up. And I know I have a lot of work still to do and a lot of learning left to do in that regard. But I'm hoping to keep working towards that and creating spaces, safe spaces where people can learn and safe spaces where people can feel that they're accurately represented.
Like quick follow-up, love that area of improvement, but how do you plan to do that?
Another great question. So the biggest thing that I've learned this year is that it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to amplify your voice. Very easy to say that. And it's easy to just say, you know, oh, we can reach out to, for example, the BIPOC community and give them the platform that the SRC has. But what's more difficult is to really try to educate ourselves, because what I've learned this past year is that members in a variety of equity-seeking groups are facing challenges that we may not necessarily understand, and to put them in the position of teachers or educators isn't the right thing to do. And I've learned that. I think when I first started in this role, when I first started in this role, it was this idea that like, okay, well, I'll reach out and build these bridges and communicate with people from different equity-seeking groups. But just because they're in an equity-seeking group doesn't mean that they necessarily are educators on the experiences they have. There's a role to play in self-learning, I can say, and trying to improve in that sense. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or deviating a little bit away from it, but what I'm trying to get at is really taking on a more active role in taking the initiative to learn, to dig in, to do my own research, and not just depend on groups and members within the SRC to do that themselves. So that's something that I'm learning and hoping to continue to improve on.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and ask you the same question that I asked Luca and Joel.
Actually,
Oh,
Cass,
no.
I've got Maya Luger with her hand up, so
Perfect.
maybe we'll do
You
her
can
and
go
then your
ahead.
question.
She can go ahead.
Me again. Hi, Enzo. I wanted to ask, what's one thing, or I mean, you can list multiple, but what's one thing that you want to accomplish next year, I guess, that you want to accomplish next year that you'll look back 10 years from now and go, this is still here. This is still happening. I was a part of doing that, and I'm glad that it has the longevity to last this long. It's not a one-term thing that disappears with the next SRC.
That is such a good question. And I think I often even ask myself, you know, looking back, what do I want to be proud of? What's something that I want to leave behind? I think for me, I see the value that the SRC has as an organization. And although in the past I may have had, you know, disagreements with different ways the SRC has organized or done things, and I'm sure not all students will agree with the way it functions, I think what I really want to work on is if reelected for a second year, is developing the SRC to a point where it can better represent students and better serve the student body. And what I mean by that is that I feel like there's restructuring to be done and fundamental changes that can be done in the organization that this past year, you know, I had ambitions about, but with everything that went on, I didn't necessarily get the chance to get to. So for me, to be the development and expansion of the SRC into areas that are innovative and things that would support the SRC in ways that have never been done before, so that we can better serve the student body. You know, when I look at other universities and I see their student unions, and they're huge, like they're huge student unions that do so much. And I think considering our size, we do a heck of a lot and we do it really well. So I can just imagine what it would be like if the SRC were developed even more or expanded upon. So there are a lot of things. I can probably go on for an hour to talk about different things, but I think one in particular that I've noticed would be that. And I think I'd be happy looking back in 10 years and saying I was able to contribute to that expansion that brought the SRC to the next level.
Do you, just as a quick follow-up, do you have an example of like a concrete area that you want to expand into specifically? Obviously not the only one, but just one as an example.
Yeah, so I think one as an example is when it comes to our funding opportunities in the SRC. So obviously we receive funding from student fees and from other I guess services or programs that we have, like the GATE, for example. I think what I'd like to see is try to expand on that to try to see if we can bring in sources of income that don't necessarily add on to student fees or that don't increase like don't have an impact, like a direct negative impact on students, but that allow us to do more as an organization. So, I mean, there's still a lot of things to discuss, but one of the things, I'm currently thinking about or have been discussing is kind of this idea of creating potentially like our very own advancement office. Like, how Bishop's University has an advancement office that brings in donations from alumni. Well, the SRC has probably a long line of alumni, and it's been an idea that I've had on my mind for a long time. But if the past president and the president before that, et cetera, are so committed to the SRC, then potentially creating an office of that sort can bring in an additional source of income or opportunity or talent or skill that can be provided back to the student body. So that was just one of the ideas I've had. But if ever you want to reach out, we can chat about them for sure. It excites me to think about all the possibilities.
That's great. Thanks for your answer.
No worries. Thank you.
John, do you have any more hands? I don't see any, but
I'm seeing none. So go ahead with your question, Cass.
cool. So I was just gonna ask the same one that I asked Luca and Joel. If we do remain online for the fall semester, how do you plan on tackling that based on the fact that you were president last year in the fall role? What would you do better or do differently?
It's a really good question. I started off the role online, then we went in person, then we're back online. So it's kind of like had that roller coaster of experiences. I think to say what I would do differently is difficult because we obviously were in a situation that we've never been in before. So like just today, for example, there was the SRC Extra Day that was hosted. And that's the first time that something like that we've hosted something like that online, right? So there's a lot to adapt to and to understand still. So if we were to be online again, which I'm really, really hopeful we won't be, but if we are, because we don't know what the future holds, I think the biggest thing is ensuring that we're developing avenues where what we've managed to do in the past, we're continuing to do online. So whether that's O-Week, whether that's, extracurricular days, or mental health support, office hours, et cetera. These are all things we need to continue to develop. This year, it was tricky having to do it in such a short amount of time and then not necessarily having that stability. But moving forward, having had that experience, I think trying to tweak those things to ensure that we're perfecting them and continuously trying to provide student support in all areas. It can be difficult to be online. Even now doing a Zoom call, I see so many few faces and it already impacts me in that regard. So I think tweaking the experiences we've had, using my experience over the last year to ensure that we're doing the best we can in an online world, and also working with the university to ensure that we're supporting students through it because it is difficult to take on that challenge, and also being hopeful that we'll be in person in a safe way that students would feel comfortable returning to campus and supporting that.
Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions for Enzo? A reminder that Enzo is running unopposed. So when you cast your ballot and your vote, you'll be voting yes, no. Do you have a question for yourself, Enzo?
Yeah, I have a question. Well, maybe can I have like a closing comment? If there are no other questions, if there are, then I'll respond to them, no problem.
Yes.
But just before we like move on, if I could have like a tiny.
For sure, I'll give people a pregnant pause because the online world, sometimes we glitch, sometimes we
Definitely.
take a minute to think and write.
I'm seeing none, Cass.
Okay, so closing remarks.
So again, I want to thank everyone. My closing remarks would really be, when you're voting on Tuesday and Wednesday, really look into everybody's campaign, try to make an informed decision and really try to get to know the candidates, ask them questions. Even though I'm running unopposed, it doesn't automatically mean you have to vote yes for me. Ask me questions, see how I can better represent you as a president, and do the same for the other candidates. It's important that we really know who we're putting into these positions and that they're really doing what's in the best interest of the student body. And the only way to know that is to really go out there and ask them and try to, study what their campaigns are, what their pillars, their promises, their values, et cetera, what they might be, and if they align with yours. So that's just what I want to share with people is really go out there, inform yourselves, ask questions, participate, and make an informed decision come Tuesday and Wednesday.
Perfect. That's great. If anybody does have any questions for Enzo, you can always get in contact with him by emailing him or messaging him. He does have the SRC president Instagram. It's in the Instagram post, so you can also go on there and see what he's posting and reach out to him on that. So we're going to move on to VP Acad. So I'll give you both a chance to give your opening remarks, talk about your campaign, and then we'll do questions. Do you guys care who goes first, or?
I can go first. I don't mind.
Perfect.
Awesome. So the three main ideas that I have in running for VP of Academics are equity, advocacy, and empowerment. So equity is something that I've been really passionate about, that I've been working on for the last year. I'm the current equity rep of the SRC, and I'm also vice chair of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Task Force. So this is something I've been really committed to, something that I work really hard on, and that I believe should be taken more into the academic side of things. The second is advocacy. That's a huge part of the role, and that's something that, while I do have a bit of experience in, I think is an ever-evolving project that always requires adaptability. And that's something that I think I'm really committed to working on and making sure is as fully developed as possible. And the last one that I have is empowerment. So I don't want students to just feel listened to or to just feel represented, as important as both of these things are. I really want students to feel empowered in their learning experiences and in their university experience, to take things on in their own manner and to be able to have the experience that they want to have. So feeling empowered is really important.
Perfect. Wisha? Did I say it? Did I say it right?
I'm not for
I'm
account.
sorry.
Me.
It's Dawn. Dawn, who's next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn. I was born and raised in Vietnam and has never ever even heard of Lennoxville or the land of maple leaf with snow covering during the winter months. But miraculously, now I am here and entering my first year as Bishop, studying Master of Computer Science. Coming to Bishop University was the best joy I have ever met with a lot of efforts. I have freely experienced and sympathized with my friends who have to overcome their situation in order to learn here. So I am running for VP Academics affair to be able to share my experience and become a justice source and get the most of your education like I have. Being a voice for Bishop community of academics and being a leader are not new to me. As I was blessed with the opportunity to represent my former university as a member of the elected student council, as well as my experience in managing the training development during 5 years. I would be my rewarded to bring my determination and experience to be served. I asked myself, why would I be the right person and why do I want this? The answer is my passions for being both involved in the community and by being a voice. I also want to bring that the same richness and diversity of my experience to every student. So now I am asking you, what are you passionate about? What do you have to say? So let me know. I'll work hard to do what's the best for you when I become VP Academy. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Cass, I don't see any questions yet. Oh, wait. I think Anna Santos is using the raise your actual hand feature.
Yeah,
I don't know how to actually raise my hand. I'm sorry, on Zoom at least. So I just have a question for both of you. So being in academic affairs, you obviously are going to be dealing with students that are coming from different, not just backgrounds, but different study backgrounds. So different departments, different classes. And how do you plan? What plans do you have in action to represent everyone? Because as I understood and as I've seen, Sophia, you're an undergrad, and Dawn, you're a graduate student. So how do you plan to fully represent everyone within the academic department?
I can answer first. I think it's really important to remember, especially for the VP academic role, that you don't have to represent every single person in every division as an individual. That's kind of an impossible task. And so there are other people on the academic team, and there are other like student senators. And I think there's one from each division, so they're able to field that properly within that team. And so I think that it's really about ensuring proper collaboration, good teamwork, having a safe space for all of the members of that team to feel empowered and listened to, and to really be able to participate. That I think is most important in the VP academic role.
So I think we need create the orientation and introduction about the program for every student. So the activity that connect students with together, even organized online during this time. So we can create group of lister for each department, each class, or even this individual group of students. I think they easily have a common voice and share information with each other. That is the best way to viral information in the community and share the experience in the student. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I have another question. I don't know if anyone wants to go.
I'm not seeing a flow of hands, so Anna, take it away again.
Also, another thing, especially for me being an international student, it doesn't really apply to me, but I know that a lot of students have some problems with a language barrier. How would you come up with a plan and in a way a solution to help those students, because it's still a problem even after so many years that Bishops has been at school? So
okay, let's have Dawn handle that one first. Dawn, go ahead.
Yes. I think having is order to important to integrate the academic community. So we should create a sharing session such as learning group to help each other do well. And beside academic language, it's also important to share and help each other in learn its native language. They will easily understand the exercise which have and they are senior. Today, we have many interactive online channels like Zoom, Telegram, Skype, Instagram, and we also connect with together, become easier than ever. So I think the community with the same language is the best way to share information and help together. Yeah, thank you.
I can ask for clarification on the question. Do you mean like a language barrier in terms of university in general, or the province, or just like in classes?
So I mean a language barrier within the classes. Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay. In that case, what I think is really important and also kind of falls under my equity pillar is the idea that classes and class material can be delivered in like multiple ways, right? So when it's online, there's written components and there's verbal and audio components and there's videos. And this all makes sure that there's different avenues for students to be able to access the learning material. So whether it's through readings, if that's their problem, there's also, for example, lectures or videos that they can watch. But if that's more of an issue for them, there's readings and written component. So that there's different avenues that they can take and pick whichever learning style works best for them. And especially when it comes to language barriers, there's like tutoring and like groups for international students specifically to be able to like work together and give each other tips and support each other as well.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, our next question appears to be from Enzo.
All right. I promised I would ask every candidate at least one question, so I will try to keep up with that promise. So my question, I guess, would be that as VP Academic, obviously it's a huge role and you oversee a lot of different committees, you oversee 2 teams in a way, and it's a large commitment. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot that's going on. So what would be something, what's maybe concrete action that you'd like to take or concrete deliverables you'd like to see at the end of the year that would match what you think the student body would be most interested in seeing come out of this role or come out of this department from the SRC?
Sophia, go ahead.
I think assuming that we're still going to be under COVID regulations, what students really want to see is support for that, especially when it comes to classes and academics. And I think that the current senators and the current VP ACAD did like a fabulous job putting systems in place so that students feel supported during online learning. I'd like to continue with that and make sure that these measures stay in place. And then as situations adapt and as things change, make sure that these policies and these support systems that are in place adapt with them to make sure that students are always in the best possible position and that there's not too much at risk for them.
With me, every experience I have in the past at the course and in the Bishop University has made me a better person and expand the way I see my role in academy. Realizing the impact I can make in this school, I highlight the importance of personal growth and taking advantage of every opportunity that comes to you. So with that in mind, I want to bring about the same risk and value experience to every student. I want to share my experience how to enroll this school, how to learn the first year in Bishop University, and then I would like to create a community share for everything to help the student have more information academic program. Yeah, thank you.
I'd have a follow-up. Is that okay, John?
Yeah, you owe Maladad a favor, but go ahead.
Okay, Maladad, I owe you one. I'll get you a coffee or something. I guess my follow-up, maybe it's more just to Sophia's point, but both of you can jump in really it can be addressed by both. But my question would be, oftentimes in any other roles, there's often pushback potentially or some struggles or not always everyone is in agreement, especially since we're working with many different academic stakeholders at the university. So how would you address those situations where potentially different departments or faculties, whether that's professors, administration, etc., are not necessarily in agreement of the goals you're trying to achieve academically? So how would you overcome those challenges or address those situations?
I think that difficult conversations to navigate happen all the time. And one of the best ways to make sure that it doesn't become like a hostile or toxic environment is to really make sure that you focus on what the goals are. So like first identifying what your goals are entering the conversation and what you think the other people's goals are. If those goals align, is the problem then on like, how do we reach those goals? If those goals are not aligned, try to figure out why. Like, what are the other moving parts? What are the values that are at play here? And making sure that you have like a full understanding of the situation instead of just immediately reacting emotionally and saying, oh, they're disagreeing with me. Actually figuring out like, what is their motivation? We both want something here. What is it that we can make sure that everybody is happy in the end? in the event that like they're very opposing and we can't make everybody happy, figuring out like what is the best course of action to reduce harm for the most people in that case.
Before I actually received very little academic information. So I have to search the department from by, tell my professor about participating in a research project or find scholarship information on the website. So, you know, last time we have to attend online learning and many students don't even know who their classmates are. They don't even have more 10 friends in the university. So to introduce the program for the student is very important. Yes, with me, I can show. And when we create more information to share the information with the student when we enroll the school, and the first step study in the university. So also I think we also need to evaluate the effectiveness the program to students. How many people get the information, skills, and the impact was the program bring for the student. That's helped me improve the program and the voice in the community academics.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is from Maladad Bashar Dous. To Maladad, go ahead.
I have two questions to both candidates, so if it's okay, I will ask them both. So my first question is, you might have already mentioned about that in your statements a little bit, but if you hold solutions or similar, or have you had similar experiences past or currently that can help you to best serve as VP Academics? And my second question is like a follow-up to Anna's question. I think that, as Anna said, it's a very crucial thing to have initiatives for our students whose first language is not English. And I think we have some challenges. They have some challenges, and there are some works that should be done. We have already tutoring service, and we also have English Writing Center. Do you have any kind of new initiatives that you think that can help students whose first language is not English, and also our international students?
Dawn, let's start with you on that one, if you're okay.
Sorry, I hear question the voice, so can you repeat this again? I don't hear clearly the question.
Sure. So my first question is, have you hold similar positions in the past, or have you had similar experiences in the past that can help you to best serve as VP Academics? So that's my first question. And my second question is, do you have any kind of initiative in mind that can help our students, our international students, and our students whose first language is not English?
Okay, I've put his two questions in the chat as well, just in case the internet's still acting up. Dawn, are you ready to go, or?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have you go first.
Okay. So I think with my experience in the past, I can have create a community to share the experience, create the group, the student group, to have everybody learn together, and the national group can connect with together to the in the class or in the course when they enroll. So I think that is the important, that is the effort of the student. I think they need to improve in myself and try and learn to get learn day to day, and maybe create the group to share everything. So I also think the academic community will have transparent information from the department, class, school, and individual. So just have the information clearly, and bring the academic community work together. So many information might be stuck somewhere when delivery information to the student. So if we have the smoothly channel to spiral to switch it, the information it become the effective. I think so.
I'll answer your questions in order. So starting with the first one about having held similar positions. I think there's two positions that come to mind, and it's the two that I've held most prominently this year. So the first being as the current equity representative of the SRC. I do have an understanding of how the SRC works and how it functions, but a big part of that role was as co-chair of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, which was newly created. And right before that committee was created, the Ad Hoc Consultation Committee to create it. So a lot of stuff going on there, but I think what was really important for me with that position was being able to work with students from very diverse backgrounds. We were looking with religious minorities, with cultural and ethnic minorities, students living with disabilities, whether they be like chronic or physical or learning or cognitive. We were working with students from different countries. We had so many different backgrounds there, and working together with all of those people. And as co-chair, working with all of these different perspectives to create something that worked for all of those groups was a really enlightening experience. And I think gives me a bit more experience that will be helpful in this role to be able to work with students from different backgrounds. The second role that I think would really be helpful is that I serve now as vice chair of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Task Force, which comes from the Senate and the board. This was really important because this task force is made up not just of students, but of people from administration, faculty, staff, students, people from the Senate, from the Board of Governors, from Bishop's Council, really people from all over the university. And so being able to work with people in that setting, as opposed to just student groups, is a really, really different experience that you have to approach in different ways. And I think that that has given me some really valuable experience to be able to take into the VP academic role. And especially since that person sits on Senate, I think that would be really useful. In terms of your second question about initiatives to help students for whom English is not their first language, I don't have those experiences. I grew up in Quebec. I'm fluent in English and French, and I have been my whole life. I know that you're saying like there's a lot of initiatives that are in place. If international students are saying, you know, these are not sufficient, these are not serving us properly, I would love to have conversations with them to see what would suit them best, the same way that I did through the EDI committee, because I would never want to put something in place that I think is best without asking people what will actually work for them. So if these current measures are not sufficient, then I would love to engage in those conversations and help build something that serves the people that it's meant to.
I want to talk something. So when the student have many different backgrounds, when English is not your first language and learning become more difficult in learning, they actually have a common voice and share the information with it together. We can create group leader for each group of international students who share the same language. I think with it's the best way to have the other students learn easy to learn the program they enroll, and they can ask the information, that small information from senior, from your senior. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I think our next question comes from a George Philippe. I'm not going to say the rest of it because it's too long. George, go ahead.
Hi, both. So my question comes because there's, as VP Academic, as I said earlier, you'll obviously be leading 13 people. So I wanted to hear more about what leadership is for you. How do you feel you're prepared to lead a big team like that?
Sophia, go ahead.
I think it's a very large team, but the team, as far as I know, is split into two different sides between like the peer academic mentors and the senators. And so already I think that everybody in a team should have their role, so that everybody can feel like they contribute properly and nobody feels left out. And so I think that in allowing people to really flourish within their roles, to give them the freedom to work as they want to and independence, while still giving them all the support that they need, is really important in making sure that everybody in a team feels valued. And I think that in giving them that support, it's important, as I was saying before, to help people feel empowered in their roles. So I don't want just people to feel like they'd ever just be reporting to me. I really want any team that I work with to see me as like a collaborator and a partner, as opposed to someone who's just in charge.
As a leader, I would like to introduce to many people who know the Bishop University, give them the reason to study choosing Bishop University as the ideal place for their university time. In besides, Academy is soon a communication channel to reach a wider training program, research projects, or scholarship should be communicated to the student in the community as fully as possible. Finally, I want to bring together the academic community at Bishop University together. Everyone can learn from and share knowledge and experience, even the career opportunity they can gain after graduated from Bishop. Yeah.
Okay. Cass, I think I've been doing this too long. I'll throw it back to you.
Perfect. So I have a question from someone who wishes to remain anonymous. I just have to get to where it was. Sorry, it was sent a while ago. We've had some conversation. Okay, so for both candidates, how do you plan to represent and help out the students in the SAAS, so the students with accommodations, if there are no one apparent, or if there's no one a part of the equity, inclusive, and diversity committee? Does that make sense?
I think I can take this first.
Cool.
Saying that there's no students who have accommodations on that committee, I think, first of all, points out a problem with the committee and would probably want to put someone who has those experiences on that committee so that they can share those perspectives. I think that would be really important first of all. Secondly, I think engaging in more conversations. I believe there are some student groups, if not like student groups, then there are just like groups on campus who talk about these issues and who discuss them. And so I think engaging with them as much as possible to see what they would like and what would work best for them and what issues they would like to have the VP Academic advocate for would be really important. So really just fostering those connections and creating relationships of trust, I think, is the most important thing in advocating for any group.
So for the next plan, I have to continue to arrange business as a team toward a more identity-rich national academy. As our enrollment increasing and more people become aware of Bishop University, academic programs are more available for students. This means more academic events, increasing participation in different language schools, and more networking opportunity, so we can experience everything that Bishop University offers. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm just gonna add the follow-up question just in case it helps you, or there's anything off of that that you want to expand on. So the follow-up was, currently there's only one professor that represents someone with a disability and there's no student representation. So how would you plan to improve that? Sophia, I know that you mentioned that a little bit, so you may not have anything to add, but if either of you have anything you want to add based on the additional question, go ahead, feel free.
I think the existing like EDI committee would be a great avenue to start with. Not just saying that because I'm the current co-chair, but also because I think that it really opens up a lot of doors for students to be able to have their voices heard and to have a forum for them where they're currently underrepresented. So I would say that that would be the best place to engage in those conversations right now.
So I think the student have many different backgrounds. So focus group is the most important. We also focus the small group or the large group for every purpose. It helps order to interact into the academic community. We also create sharing session, learning group for each group on very focused and help them learn the academy when they study in Bishop University. Yeah.
Perfect. I have one more, and then I have a couple questions that are just my questions that I'll ask you. So if there are no current student clubs that focus on the SAAS issues, then how would you proceed? Either one of you can start.
SAAS, what does it mean? I don't understand.
It's the students with accommodations.
So SAAS is the group that covers students who need accommodations, normally to write exams, so that the students who normally have been diagnosed with learning disabilities or that type of thing that often require them to need more time to write exams or other sort of accommodations, other sort of allowances for to complete their assignments or exams. And someone's messaged me if I have misstated that, but that's my understanding. Does that make sense, Don?
I can answer the question if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So given that there's no current like student run group for that let's say subgroup of students, I would hope in that case to be an individual who is approachable to individual students who have things that they want to bring up. If, for example, students don't want to or are unable to form a students association under the SRC, and they would prefer instead to just like as an individual speak to another individual, I hope that I'm someone who would be approachable for that. And I would welcome anybody who wants to have those conversations with me to, email me, message me, anything. I would love to have these conversations because I want to make sure that our university serves everyone properly, and especially our most vulnerable. So students who are currently underrepresented or who need accommodations and would like to talk about that, I would love to have those conversations.
So I need the student needs more.
Everything okay there, Dawn?
Yes. So I think the student needs more properties, material, or everything for the student life. So if we provide something, is have they become comfortable in the progress, the student progress, the student progress. That is that's why to help the student become comfortable with student progress. So maybe we also need provide many channels that help the student easy to get achievement with their education. That is the perfect for the student. Yeah, I think so.
There is one quick follow-up on that again. So specifically it was, if students have expressed themselves in other areas and appropriate channels before and were not heard, specifically the Inclusive Diversity Committee, how would you ensure that their voice is heard this time? Maybe Sophia, if you want to jump on that one first.
Sure. I don't know what the specific case is, so I wouldn't know what happened, but if you're feeling like you're not heard, or if any student is feeling like they're not heard, firstly, I want to say sorry. I know what that's like, and it's really not easy. And when you're using all of the like available channels and none of them are working for you, it can feel really like hopeless. And I want to say, like, if the existing channels aren't working for you, then let's build a new one. Let's find something that does work for you. Let's make something that does work for you to be able to find solutions to whatever the issues that you're experiencing are. I'm really open to that, and I really think that's one of the most important things that I can do, would be helping to create something new to serve people who are not currently being served.
So I think today we have many interactive online channel to connect with the student. So when the student live far, so I think that is the important. They talk with us. They talk with me their problem. Just they talk with us their problem. We also the way, the solution to do with them and connect to resolve your issue. I think so. Just they raise your voice and the solution at the next step to provide for us. Yeah.
Perfect. And I have one of my regular questions, and then I think we'll wrap it up and move to the next position. So my last question, and then you're free to add any closing remarks afterwards. But given the pandemic that we're in and that we've experienced the past year, and the effect that that's had on students' academics, we've had the pass fail, we've had switching to online classes and having to get used to Zoom and Teams and all those kind of platforms and etiquettes and that kind of thing. It's a two-tier question. So first off, if we stay online for the fall semester, how do you plan to support students' academic and mental health? Knowing that those two are connected, especially when you're doing classes online, you're spending a lot of time on the screens. And second, if we're in person, how do you plan to support students who will be transitioning from online to in person, because there are a lot of differences between the two and how you interact and how you act in the classroom versus in your room on your computer. So how do you plan to support students who may find that transition a little hard to go back to?
I can go first, if that's okay.
Yep, yeah.
So in terms of the first part, which is if things stay online, how are we going to be supporting students through online classes and their mental health? I think it's really important to make sure that students know that what supports are in place for them. So really making sure that they are aware of all that currently exists, and then to find out if this is not enough, what more can we do? What areas specifically require more support? When we first moved online, I made a series of videos that was on the SRC Instagram and YouTube and Facebook called How to Succeed with Online Learning. And so I gave some tips there on how to, adapt to this new way of learning. I had been teaching online since March, and I was at that point, it was September, I think, and we were starting with online classes. So really helping that students understand like what things can you do to make this easier and to take some of the pressure off of yourself. I think that in getting to the second part of your question, something similar could be done when the transition moves back to in-person classes. So in that case, making sure that you have enough time to get to class, because now you have to, transport or whatever it is, and sort of making like a short little series that will help students retransition back into the like in-person classes and remember what that feels like, and hopefully make that a bit easier on them. So just having information available to students and making sure that it's accessible to them so that they have full awareness of everything that's going on.
So to support the student, I think we need to create a friendly and sharing learning environment. We have them to easily integrate into the learning environment and share the information from the group, from the senior, from the professor. Also, we give them as much information as possible to help them connect with together, following the student life in the PSEP University. Yeah.
Perfect. And any closing remarks or anything that you didn't get the chance to say or didn't get asked to grow on that you wanted to kind of say? And then if you want to share your campaigns or your social media platforms.
Well, thank you all for listening. In terms of social media, I don't have a specific one for campaign, so it's just Sophia Langevin on Instagram or Facebook.
My background is the technology. So I think we have many channels to connect online, and we also easily to connect if the problem with this channel, such as Team or such as Instagram. Maybe we use email or phone or another channel to connect with together. That's the good way to show the activity of the student. I think so.
Sounds good. If nobody has any more questions, we'll move on to the VP Student Life. Just gonna make sure with John that we don't have any more questions.
Nope, we're all set. I think these two have suffered enough.
Perfect. So I don't know who wants to go first between the two of you, but if you just want to share your campaign, tell us a little bit about what you would hope to do or what you have planned or what you thought of if elected as VP Student Life. You can start, whoever wants to.
I can go, I don't mind. Okay, so hi guys. To everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Ana Santos. I'm from Portugal. I'm a third-year student in neuroscience. Just a little bit about my experience and my background. I have lived in Mozambique and the Netherlands, and now obviously I'm in Canada, which I absolutely adore and I love it. So in terms of experience, I have worked really closely with the SRC the past few years. I've attended the general meetings online, and I've worked closely with this year with the events. I was a head judge for this year's orientation week. I was a judge last year. I volunteered at the fashion show. I attended the Casa fashion show, which is amazing. I'm so sad that it's not happening this year. And so that's all my background kind of for my values and why I decided that inclusion, diversity, health, approachability, kindness, and collaboration are so important to me, is that we cannot do one thing without the other. And I think these all 6 values really tie themselves together. In terms of my campaign, I divided it into 4 different sections. So kind of like Enzo was saying, he has pillars. That's kind of where I'm coming from. So in inclusion and diversity, I plan to obviously learn and grow. And I really want to educate myself in some of the issues that are current in our world. And I obviously do not have all the knowledge, and I'm bettering myself every single day. I'm asking questions. I am, making sure that my sources are good and are reliable. Towards inclusion and diversity, I obviously really want to work on more workshops. There are hands-on and there are seminars. I know we had anti-racism this year. I want to focus on more than goes past racism. I want to focus on the LGBTQ community. I want to focus on neurodiverse students. I want to focus on students that come from different backgrounds in terms of just, other aspects. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. So yeah, I also want to really host student speaker nights in collaboration with cultural and academic clubs. And bring awareness to different types of issues that students face. I do believe that we learn best when we're learning from each other in terms of those issues and in terms of relating to one another. Bishop's community is really just about one another, and it's a small school, it's a small community, and I really want to portray that, with everyone. When it comes to approachability and kindness, I want to create I know there's platforms in place, and I want to ensure that students know that there's platforms in place. So there's already a platform that is an anonymous platform on the Bishop's University Student Representative Council webpage. But I really want to work and create a platform where students can reach me and they can come talk to me. Obviously, go off private message me on Instagram if you want. I'm always open, but I want to have a little bit more of a professional line, so in case there's anything to be brought up, that it's done professionally too. And another thing is, if we are on campus, hopefully, let's pray, but if we're on campus, I really want to have weekly meetings with students and weekly office hours and have them all around campus. So not just in my office, where, if elected, obviously, where my door is going to be open. I want to go to the library. I want to go sit in the quad if it's warm and sunny. So students can feel like they can approach me much more easily. In terms of collaboration, I really want to bridge the gap between students and clubs. So I know that there's amazing things being done with Extra, but I really want to add more. I want to have more interactive club days. I want especially to have weekly club time. So each week would be focused on 3 or 4 clubs, and they could either take over social media. They could really not just say, hey, this is my club, but hey, we're meeting right now, come and join us, because that's really what Bishops is all about. It's about collaborating with one another. Furthermore, on collaboration would be also work with the committees that are in place, with the committees that are in place, with the center. The senators are more for academics, but with the representatives that will be elected by the student government, by the students. work with them and see what can be done and what are problems that we can address, and create solid solutions to really ensure that like those problems that they're saying, okay, that's a problem, what can be done about it, and what can we do? And last but not least, health of both body and mind. Obviously, COVID-19, everyone knows about it. Everyone has suffered either mentally or physically. And if we go back on campus, I really want to focus on a reintegration plan to make sure that students are being met, because obviously we've all been stuck indoors for almost a year now. We might have seen about like 10 people at once, but large groups, a lot of people are going to freak out, which is totally normal and totally okay. But I want to have people that will be there. So work closely with We United, work closely with Jordy Hepburn, and see what can be done, and student services, obviously, and see what can be done to help the students and to help them really understand that it is okay. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. Also, with the health of both body and mind, I would love to work and make some type of like day events where we can work with the coaches and trainers at the Plex and have some free type of movement events for students to go to and move their bodies, and that's the body part. And then for mind, we have so many student services available to students. We have in like the learning specialists, we have counselors, we have career counselors, we have everyone. And it's just sad because those services are there, but Bishop students don't know that they are there. So I want to really focus on creating a platform. I know there's a student Instagram page, there's been videos made, but I want to ensure that people know about those resources and that they are being used to their full potential. So that's also how it contributes to approachability. I want to be able for a student to come to me and be like, hey, Anna, I've been really having a bad day. Who do I go to? Like, how do I schedule an appointment? And I'll be like, okay, taking a step back, I completely understand that. Here's how you schedule an appointment. You schedule with Francine and she will guide you through the process. So those are just my very concrete actions that I have, and just values of things that I want to work through if elected as your next Vice President of Student Life. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Anna. I just wanted to say I really love your campaign and good luck to you. So just a quick introduction. My name's Wisha and I'm running for VP Student Life. And there are several things I'd like to focus on as the VP of Student Life. So the first, being able to bridge the gap of communication, although this in fact is in the job description of being a vice president for the student life. I feel it's not the most effective way of being collaborative with other, oh, sorry, I just got distracted by the chat. Yeah. So I just think it's not the most effective way to collaborate with other clubs, other resources that are available. I plan on being engaged with the students on several platforms. And this is where I would like to do things differently. I feel when things are way too structured, a lot of students are very reluctant to show up. People have different kinds of schedules, and the kind of person I am, I would love for someone to come up to me and just share how they feel. So at least I can get other people's opinions, really integrate them into what we could achieve as a community in Bishops. And another point would be that I have recently joined the campus as an international student. And one word I've really heard is, I'm so sorry, I just got really nervous. But yeah, so what I'm saying is that I've heard over and over again, like in Dewey's, with people saying, oh, where should I do this? Where should I do that? And Anna said, there are so many resources available to students. It's just that they really don't know where to go. So I think I would really want to work on bringing awareness of all the resources Bishops really has and make sure it's being used to its full potential. And one of the biggest things I really want to work on is being able to be the go-to person for new students, especially when things are online right now. I feel like if we were in person, new students usually that are coming on campus right now, they would be way more informed than they are currently. So I would like to get in touch with new students, help them around, tell them, okay, this is available for you and you can make use of these things. And lastly, very quickly, what I really want to do is that something Enzo mentioned about SRC and it's how it's being viewed as students currently. And as a student life VP, my job would be to advocate for students, but I would also like to advocate for the SRC, gain the trust back from students because the SRC is there for the students. So it's very important that we let students know, help us make like really help them enjoy their experience at Bishops. And that's pretty much it for me. Thank you.
Okay, as I unnerved Wisha by putting in the chat, sorry about that, my bad. Raise your hand if you have any questions for these two fine folks who have sat through 2 hours of other questions for other people. So now it's their time to shine. So let's see what we can come up with for our future VP student life. Okay, I've got one in the chat here. I'll read it out for you. For Wisha, as someone who just arrived at Bishops, you haven't had the opportunity to experience the full breadth of in-person activities at Bishops. If you are elected, do you feel this will hinder or benefit you in any way, especially if in-person activities are permitted?
I'd just like a minute to read through the question on my own and make sure I answered.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's fine. And you can have first crack at it, and then I'll let Anna chime in if she has anything to say.
Okay, so firstly, what I feel is that obviously I haven't been able to experience any in-person activities I would be able to if this was a normal year. But this can benefit me and disadvantage me in a lot of ways, knowing that there's a lot of new things I will have to learn, but I'm a person who can learn very quickly and understand the situation. And it could benefit me also in a way that a lot of students are going through the same thing and I understand their experience, and especially being a person of color, I understand how difficult it is coming into a new community, into different people, how you feel. So I don't know if I'm being really distracted by the question, but like if I'm diverging away from it, but I just feel it could help me in both ways.
And did you want to add anything, or are you good?
I could just add something. One thing that I think that it's very important for people to know is that we really just want to show how amazing these activities and those experiences are. There's so much out there. And we want to help those who have not had this experience feel part of our community. So honestly, just because things are online right now, it's not gonna, I don't think, harm anyone in the future. I think it might benefit us because it might make us more eager to learn and to keep doing the traditions that we've done so far, and keep those traditions coming. So that's the little thing that I have.
Our next question comes from Maya Luger. Oh, I've never seen that name before. Go ahead, Maya.
You'll get sick of my face by the end of tonight. I wanted to ask, and I see that Izzy is also here. So before I ask the question, I want to say that I'm super, like, everything that Izzy has done has been fantastic. This is just a question for you guys. What's one thing that your predecessor has done that you would change, or that you would either change, get rid of, improve on, something that you, yeah, something like that?
I can go first, I guess, if that's okay. Yeah. Okay. So personally, big fan of Easy. Just saying, love her. I think everything that she's done, she has done to her best of ability to this point. And I want to literally say that it's been a very challenging year for everyone. It's been coming up with new ideas of how to engage students in certain events and come like working to like directly with the director of events and trying to come up with ways to engage students in going to extra day and all the things that come with the job. She has done amazing with. But I think one of the things that I would probably do a little bit not just a little bit different would be I would try and connect a little bit more with the international student community from throughout the year. So I know that we're doing amazing things. I just think that as an international student, if I was to come to Bishops my first semester, having not have lived the Bishops experience, I would have wanted to hear a little bit more from the SRC because we're supposed to be representing students. So I would probably focus a little bit more on that just because of the experience that I've had in the past. But yeah, everything, Izzy, love you, but yeah.
Okay, I actually really agree with Anna. Me being like, as I said, I just came and I was so overwhelmed when I first came here. I had no idea of all the resources I had access to and all the resources I could have taken use of and what I was getting myself into. So I totally agree that there could be obviously more information, more collaboration towards the international students. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks, guys. And kudos to you guys for sticking it out this long. If I were you, I would have been so anxious and exhausted. So like, congrats.
I am pretty anxious at this point.
Okay, you both are doing fine. Nothing to worry about. Our next question comes from an Isabel Odette. Don't know if I know what that is.
John, can you guys hear me all right? I don't often use my headphones. Okay, sweet. Awesome answers. I really appreciate your answers and your question, Maya. Please have no stress whatsoever about me being in the crowd. Very excited to hear what you guys have to say. So my question is, considering the BP, well, the student life department is very broad and deals with a lot of very independent departments throughout the university and just a broad range of different student groups. How are you going to work to be connected with the things that they're all independently working on in order to be able to best advocate for the student needs within those departments? And if you need me to repeat at any point too, like, please let me know.
Wisha, do you want to go first? I went first.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I was actually thinking if, I don't know if this is already in place, but usually when a lot of independent work is going on, it's nice to meet up and catch up and understand what each department is working on, have maybe weekly newsletters being sent into the department of, so everyone is aware of the things that are going on and how they can contribute to maybe helping that. For example, I really like Joel's campaign about how he wants to include a lot of things, and that's where VP Student Life comes in, where I, if elected, can understand and so actually provide more let me look for the word I'm looking for, provide more opinions of what the students really want, because as my job will be closer to the students, I can communicate more effectively and really be the liaison that a lot of other jobs will probably need, which is student opinions of what they really want.
And I can take it away now. I think one of the first things that I would do is organize my own time. I think for me to be the best player in a team, I have to be organized in my own work. And then I would have to work as a team. We're a team. We're not here for me to talk and for them to listen, or for one of them to talk and for no one else to listen. We really need to be interconnected and to understand, obviously, like Wisha said, like what needs to go on when what is going on. I would also try and meet with them, because the projects are going to be very different. And I know there's more than 18 committees and 8 student representatives and more than 70 clubs. So it's a lot. And I completely understand that it's a lot. But you would need to like time manage your time. So see if you can meet with them individually to work on those projects with them. And then somehow, I don't know how, that's one part of the job that I would have to obviously learn is try and prioritize what goes in the beginning of the week, what goes in the middle, what goes in the end of the week, and then slowly really tide up the week and just have a good understanding of what everyone's doing to in terms of projects and how I can best support them if elected. And I think that answers it. Izzy, let me know if I missed something.
Yeah, cool. I think that does answer it to a certain extent. You definitely want to have good balance throughout that process. But yeah, thanks both of you. I might have some questions afterwards as well, but keep it up.
Okay, we'll go to Vina next, and then I'll get Enzo. So Vina, go ahead.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here and like taking in all our questions and representing your campaigns. Very much appreciated. Isabel kept and maintained and created such an awesome legacy of being so approachable and really knowing everybody on like a first name basis, and that took time for her to earn. Like she was an RA on campus in residence and then was a part of different student clubs. However, how are you guys gonna do all that and be approachable? Like Adam, I'm also in neuroscience, but I've never known you in class. And I think I met you in CASA once, but you didn't say much. How would you guys at least live up to Isabella's approachability? You don't have to surpass it, but at least like meet it and keep it at the level that she reached. Thank you guys so much.
Do you mind if I go first?
I would actually like to go first just because I've been, yeah. I've actually met you, Vina, a bunch of times and I've said hi to you, but that's just a little thing. And I'm sorry if you got a bad impression of me. That was not on my behalf at all, and I apologize. I've also been part of FROSH, of Orientation Week for the past 3 years. I've been part of the MedLife Club, the Chemistry Club. I have been really in touch with a lot of the student athletes there. Some of them are my friends. I can easily reach them at any point that I need. I have friends that are in Bucks. I have friends that are in the politics committee, in PISA. I try to have a good understanding of what is going on campus. We obviously, when you're in a class with 100+ people, and I know it sounds crazy for bishops because that's one of our biggest classes, but you're not going to be saying hi to the person that is sitting 5 rows behind you every single time. But obviously for me, and 110%, Izzy has done an amazing job to be approachable, and I want to keep that good work. And I really do believe that people feel comfortable enough to come to me. I've been told by a couple of people, but obviously that's up to the community to decide. It's not up to me. But I really do think, like I said, with office hours, with my, moving around campus, with saying hi to people. I always say hi to people, by the way, and I always smile. And just creating that warm atmosphere to be like, hey, like, you're welcomed here. I understand what you're going through. I'm a student as well. I'm representing you, but I'm also a student. I understand exactly what you go through. And obviously being part of the fashion show, being part of Orientation Week, having been part of just different events going on campus and around campus, that just I'm also a student ambassador, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I'm also a student ambassador for the admissions team on campus and recruitment. So I've also got to know a lot of the people from that scenario and really broaden my really broadened my understanding and really compassion that I have for all the, and empathy that I have for all the students, not just for people in neuroscience, not just for my friends, but for people that are also all around me and that are friends with my friends or friends with someone that we know, because that's what Bishops is, it really is about. It's a small community that is there for each other, and that's where really I want to portray. So thank you. Sorry.
And yeah, no bad impressions, Anna. I just simply don't remember you, but that could totally be my fault. I have short-term memory loss. But
Don't
I
worry
was
about
just putting it out there. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I can get to it now. I think one of the benefits I have right now is that I am on campus. Obviously, it doesn't represent the whole Bishops community, but the Bishops community is quite small compared to a lot of other universities. So I wouldn't say it makes the job very easy, but it makes it doable. And the thing is, I'm already at it. I'm growing my network every day. I'm meeting so many people at Dewey's. I'm slowly getting to first name basis with a lot of people. So I think it's just that being very approachable, smiling, being a bubbly person, being happy. And it's very important just to always keep a very warm atmosphere around you and the people you know. Someone may not know you directly, but what other people think of you, my friends, they could refer other people to me. Oh, you know what? You should talk to Wisha. She's a fun person. So I think that is very important. I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you both so much. And regardless who gets the position, I think you guys are both going to put your all into making sure you really get to know everyone on campus. So very much appreciate both your efforts.
Thank you, Vina.
All right, thank you for that, Vina. Next up is Enzo.
All right. Hello. As I had promised, I'm going to ask everyone a question. I know it's super late though, and you've been here a while, so I feel you. So my question is, obviously BUSRC Extra is something that this year's team has worked hard on, and it's something that I think was really implemented to address the concerns that extracurricular groups were experiencing. So I'd like to know from your perspectives, what are potential struggles or hurdles that extracurricular groups are experiencing that SRC Extra can address if it continues to develop, or if you think SRC Extra is not addressing, etc.
Wisha, you want first crack at this one?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Wow, just give me the question, sure. I think one of the things I would say is awareness. I'm not sure if a lot of people know about the clubs or really what it could do for you. Maybe we could try creating awareness of the importance of having extracurriculars on your resume, or even just to nurture your hobbies. I think it would be a great way to start with people understanding, why do people join clubs? Some join it for experience, some join it for fun. I think it would be great if we could maybe introduce maybe incentives for people who join clubs. It would be a great way to get more people coming in, getting engaged with the community. That's what I think.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So personally, I feel like obviously we have more than 70 clubs. They make part of the sports side, they make part of the academic, the alliances, and the non-SRC clubs. And when I think of what can we do to improve, I think we need to give a voice to the smaller clubs as well, because there's plenty of clubs that are out there and everyone knows about them, but do we know that we have a painting club? Do we know that we have a knitting club? Give a voice to those types of clubs that and help them reach where they are. And like I said in my opening statement, I really do want to have a little like weekly focus for certain clubs. So every week would be 3 or 4 clubs that they could either take over Instagram page. They could just inform the community on what they do and what they are there for, and how we can join them. yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, Enzo. Let me know if you want me to.
I think maybe clarity for both, or as a follow-up for both. I think more specifically, I guess what I was trying to get at is like, what are these extracurricular groups struggling with that SRC Extra can address? And is SRC Extra addressing it, or is it not? And then how can that improve a little bit more? I think it was sort of touched upon, but maybe just a little bit of clarity on that in particular may be a little bit more helpful for me.
I can go first if you want. I would say that people normally join clubs just because it's for their CV. They don't care what actually happens sometimes. And I think that's something that we could address. So have people actually interested in joining them for loving it and wanting to do it. And obviously you should be experiencing every single things. Also, another thing would be to provide some of the clubs, like provide some type of equal funding for each of the clubs, at least like in the beginning, to give them really a way to grow and to, I think that's the struggles that I have in my mind. You kind of caught me off guard, but yeah, and definitely meet with the club leads like we always, I'm pretty sure you guys always do in the beginning of the year, to set up those things and talk to them and see what do they need from us too, because they are the ones that are leading the clubs. So really understand what do they need from us, and have those meetings even like sometimes like either monthly or every 2-3 weeks, just to have an idea of like, is this consistent? Do you need to reach me? Do you need more funding? What can be done? Just have an understanding of what they are struggling with, because every single club is going to struggle differently. So yeah.
I totally agree with that. And I think also a lot of the small clubs have trouble with reach of how many people actually do know about these clubs and why are they joining these clubs. So I'm not really sure. This is something I will have to really think about if I do get elected. It's something I plan to work on.
Thanks to the both of you.
Okay, next up is Jenny and Amanda.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Yes, okay.
You're good.
So it's just Jenny here. But I just have kind of a fun question, I guess. So what about the Bishops community has inspired you to run for this role?
I don't know who wants to go first. John, do you know who went first last time? I think it was me, right?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure if it's the Bishops community. It's actually just me, the kind of person I am. I love getting to know people, knowing people's stories, what they're doing, what they're studying, how they feel in their program. Are they enjoying it? How are their classes? I think it's very amazing to me what like kind of lives people lead. I feel as a VP for student life, I will be really engaged with the students, and just the fact of knowing that I will be growing my network every day is just something so amazing to me, which I look forward to. It's the experience of being engaged in a community and getting to know people around me.
I must say, I'm just to understand the question is what has inspired me to run for this position, right, Jenny?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think just everyone around me, to be very honest. Every person I've met at Bishops, every person that I've talked to at some point or another, they've inspired me to run for this position because I want to advocate for them. Another thing would be that I've been an international peer academic mentor, obviously, and that has helped me understand different types of concerns that some students face, and putting me in that position to be able to help them. I want to make some sort of change that not necessarily that will last forever or in 10 years. Obviously, that would be amazing, but something that will impact someone's life. Have a policy in place that will change some way that people view Bishops. I I think people are the ones that inspire me, but Bishop students are the ones that inspire me to run for this position, because I'm not running for myself. I'm running for other people, and I'm running so that I can help other people. And I think that answers it. So.
I think so too. The next hand up belongs to Maya Luger.
Yeah. Hi, guys. As this is for both of you. As VPSL, you'll have to advocate for students' voices and their needs. And often those needs and wants clash with the views of the administration and the goals of the administration. So how do you plan to tackle some of these topics and to bring them forward while maintaining positive relationships with the admin in order to make sure that things are accomplished?
And I think I've got Anna going first on this one.
My primary job is honestly to students and to advocate for what they think and what they believe in. And I'm working for the Student Representative Council. But I cannot do that without respecting the administration and the staff that has put so much work into it. So obviously it's going to be hard and tough conversations, but it's having good communication skills. It's understanding both sides. There's not just one side to every story. So obviously I'm working for the student, I'm advocating for them, but I also want to make sure that I'm still doing that respectively towards the administration, because I also understand they are putting a lot of work into certain tasks. So it's a balance, but it's being respectful towards them, but still representing the students while doing it. Yeah.
I would say that a lot of the times, if things cannot happen, I think there are a lot of reasons. So firstly, I know I'm here for the students mainly, but also to understand why certain things cannot happen. There are restrictions, there are sometimes legal restrictions, there's funding problems, there's a lot of limitations to what things can happen. So I think one would be to really understand, okay, if there is an issue, if there is a conflict, how can that conflict be resolved for the wishes or whatever the students want to go forward with it. So one would be really understanding if things can be changed, if a few things can be changed to get what we want, and if not, I think maybe an alternative of what could make people happy, what could make people satisfied with their experience here.
Thanks.
Okay, Cass, do you want to jump in with your questions?
Yes, I would love to. So as the VP of Student Life, okay, VP, yeah, okay, sorry. It's late and I'm now losing the marbles in my brain. As the VP of Student Life, if you get elected, I know Anna had talked about reintegration and that kind of thing. That's part of your platform, but what are like ideas or ways you can facilitate that that you think are achievable? Just because some students may not feel comfortable even coming into office hours or doing that kind of thing because that may be just too much for them right now with navigating classes. And we are going to have a lot of first year students who are going to be new to university, who may not have had that consistent in-person class or that last final year that they expected. So they might also be thrown off. So how do you plan to support them as well?
Okay, much easier when I'm not muted. Wisha, take this one.
Actually, no, I just wanted if she could really just repeat her question, if that's possible.
Yeah, totally.
I just really want to understand so I could maybe provide a better answer.
Yeah, for sure. So because we haven't been in classes for a while, I just want to know how you're gonna support students who are not who are returning. So students who it's their second, third, fourth, fifth year at Bishops. And then how you plan to support first year students who haven't had that typical last year of high school or their typical last year of college due to the pandemic. So they may have not had like, prom or graduation or those kind of things that, they look forward to, and that kind of sets the tone for them to go into post-secondary, or, they may not have had classes in person in a while. And so they need to kind of adjust and relearn how to do that. Does that make sense?
Like for the first part of your question, I think obviously like the pandemic has changed a lot of experiences for people. What used to be the norms are not the norms. So as I said again, we're here for the students. We're here to make their lives, their experience better. So there could be a lot of workshops, and for a fact, we know a lot of people have not lived a lot of experiences. So we could, if things do go in person, we could maybe try getting COVID safe events happening so people can maybe get a taste of those experiences. So that's what I think about the first part. And the second part, for those people who may be struggling with getting back to their old ways, I think quick workshops could be held to maybe understand of how things we can change things, how things can be redone. Just a lot of awareness, I would say, knowledge.
Perfect. And Anna, just before you jump in, I just want to add one thing. Wisha, sorry, I'm really bad with names. But just first year students specifically, do you have any ideas on how you support them? Because coming to university can be stressful to begin with, but coming after having classes online can be extra stressful.
Actually, the thing is, I'm actually, I think everyone knows at this point, I am a first year student right now. So one of the ways I was thinking that maybe there could be some first year, just only first year students, maybe we can make a little committee, or we can make some accounts. So we can meet up with those first year students, and we could provide them with all the knowledge they will need and help them around.
That's great.
So if I understand your question correctly, I'm just going to try and give my best answer. If this is not really what you've been asking, just let me know, okay? So for personally, I think one of the things that we're going to be dealing with a lot is going to be social awkwardness. Attention span is going to be like way smaller. Anxiety from being over big crowds. This if we go back to normal, obviously. So for those cases, this is in terms of how do we help students get to that point where we were before. That's with providing them with the resources that are already on campus. So there's in-learning, which I'm pretty sure they're going to keep on being there, and they're going to keep on being available to help students adapt again. It's going to be like giving them the answers. So helping them with understanding that there's counselors on campus. There's the Be United that is open almost if not every single day, almost every single day. You want to give that support to them. I understand they might not be feeling comfortable coming to me in person, which is totally fine. And that's why I'm still have in my platform an online office hour. So if you don't feel, if you don't feel ready to come see me in person because you might have you might still have to work through some things, and to get over that social awkwardness in the beginning, I'm going to be if elected, I will be offering office hours online on top of office hours around campus, just in case. Also, for first years that are incoming, that have lost prom, that have lost all of that, first of all, big kudos to them. I know it's a huge part of finishing high school. But that's why we have orientation week. It's to welcome them in this new chapter of their lives. It's to show them what Bishops is really all about and how tight of a community we are. Doesn't matter if you're first year, second year, third year, fourth year, you are still involved. as a leader, as a judge, as a head judge, you're still helping them out with that. One thing that we could probably work through and integrate in the orientation week would be to provide like a workshop for everyone on like, here's a little bit of a training. Like, I know it might be a little bit overwhelming right now because Bishops is overwhelming, not just because we're getting out of COVID, but sometimes just for other students, like introverted students, but have training for those students and also train judges and leaders with proper techniques and strategies of how they can help students in the long run during the week, so everyone feels included, even if you feel like sometimes going outside is too much. So have proper care for everyone. I don't know if that answers, but just give support. That's basically what it all goes about. Yeah.
That answered the question. I have one other question and then we can probably wrap it up because it's been a long time and so I know that Bishops is a community that's known for our partying and our ability to enjoy ourselves. But given the fact that it's been a long time since we've been in those environments and we've, had those kind of nights and those kind of things, what kind of things would you put in place to support students and just to deal with like alcohol intake and all those kind of factors that may occur when we usually see them when we get new students who are drinking for the first time or who are away, but for students who haven't been going to parties or doing that kind of thing because of COVID and now they're doing it again. If we get to go back in person and live a normal life, how do you plan to support them?
So I'll just go off if that's okay. So first of all, I'm here representing every single student, whether you party or whether you don't party, I'm here. I understand both sides very, very well. Another thing would be that obviously during orientation week and during the school year, there's parties going on if everything goes back to normal. One thing that I would love to know if it would even be possible, because I was thinking about it because I was, like as a psychology major, I do think about these things sometimes, but like, oh, like how is it going to be when we are inside the gate with more than 100 people all together? Like there's going to be people that are going to have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and how do we help them? But at the same time, the Safe Haven is open at the same place as Be United. So we kind of can't have both working at the same time. So really, I would love to see if it would be possible to train the peer listeners with first aid training I think they deal with alcohol. They have some sort of special certificate for alcoholic for that scenario. So see if it would be possible to work with the BU peer, with Jordy Hepburn, and see if there could be a way that we can have peer listeners working as well as Safe Haven people, because I think both will be very, very important the first few weeks, obviously, like always, but especially the first few weeks, probably the first year, and see if we could have those somehow collide together. That would be my initiative, and I would love to see that happening if we go back to in person, just to have that option that if students do feel overwhelmed, if students do feel like they've had a little bit too much to drink, they have a safe place to go to, because those people are trained in both scenarios. Another thing is, like we do every year, and I would like to just say that, I would also love to keep on having the good work that we've been doing, and keep creating more events there for people that are more shy, people that don't drink, that don't party. Work with residents, work with RAs, come up with solutions. I know like in previous years when there was a gate night, there was always a movie night going on. There was always something else going on, like a baking. So work with RAs and with the residents to ensure that whilst there's a gate night and whilst there's a party going on, there's also an alternative for students if they just want a more quiet, time for themselves or with their friends. So yeah.
I think in addition to everything Anna said, one thing we could also, I personally would really want is to educate the students on peer pressure. A lot of students, as you said, don't drink. There's a lot of scenarios of what students do and they don't do. One would be educating people on how to deal with peer pressure and under teaching them and the people who are into peer pressure that it doesn't make you any different. So I think one would be really just to focus on education and raising awareness of these issues and problems so people can make better judgment on behalf of what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing.
Perfect, both great answers. So at this time, if there's no more questions, then you can take a minute if you want to wrap up, say anything else if you need to say anything else. I know you both have Instagram campaigns, so if you want to slide that in there, go for it. Or should I do
Wisba, start us off. Wisha started us off, sorry.
I just really want to say that I'm really open to learning about this job and everything I can implement and do. And just want to say that I will be campaigning on my Instagram, which is wisha_VPSL. That is where I will be posting more information. And if I have not been able to answer questions very accurately, I probably will be able to on DMs. And if anyone wants to get in contact with me to get more information of specifically what things I plan on doing. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for enduring through all of this. I know it was a lot and it's a long time, but you guys are troopers, so thank you so much. I also, just like Wisha, I have a campaign Instagram. I'm very interactive there. I'm very active. I'm always asking little poll questions. Love that. Just to get a better sense of who you guys are as well, because some of you, I don't know you, but I want to get to know you. So my Instagram is anasantos_VPSL. And if you have any other questions, just like Wisha said, please do message me. Even if you only have my private Instagram, do message me there. Totally fine. I'm open to any sorts of comments, concerns, and ideas. Any thoughts that you might have, like if you have questions of something that I should probably look into, just let me know. I'm always looking forward to grow not just my campaign, but also just grow as a person. So thank you so much for listening. And I guess you'll do the final remarks, Cassandra.
I will. So we don't have any more questions. Everybody's wrapped up. So I'd like to thank everybody who did join the Zoom today. It was long, but I hope that you got the chance to learn a lot from the candidates about what they want to do if elected. And I hope that this will really help you when casting your vote next week on the webmail. John, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything I missed?
Vote early. Tell all your friends. Tell both of mine. I think there will be some further. Check out the SRC, the candidate's social media, and I believe the SRC has some. We'll be doing some things on that side to help raise awareness of who these fine candidates are.
Yes, and also check out the SRC TikTok. There'll be some great TikToks coming soon, just to help you kind of see their faces more and get to know their campaigns and become more familiar. Awesome. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night,
And good
everyone.
luck.